Everyone, it's Emily Fox. Today's video is going to be part 2 of my collaborative vlog with Docfinderkorea and view plastic surgery on my corrective double jaw surgery. I'll link part 1 in the description box, and I recommend you check that video out first because there's all the information on the surgery and my reasons for getting it. I wanted to add a quick reminder that I decided to go with Docfinderkorea because of all their free services. They offered medical advices, they made my hospital and hotel reservation throughout the trip, they helped me choose the right doctors for me beforehand, they helped with all the translation during my appointments, they helped with any errands that I had, they brought me my medication, and they came for each and every single appointment, and overall they were just there for me through the whole process with emotional support. I was always able to reach Anna through text if there was anything going on, so I definitely feel like this made a difference for me. Today's video is going to be all about my recovery. As I mentioned, orthodontic surgery is major surgery, so I'm not going to sugarcoat it. The first couple of days were miserable. It is part of the process, and I just wanted to include those details because I know that when I was going through it, I was looking up other people's journey, and it really helped me go through all of it, knowing that it would get better very fast, but I just had to go through the first 4 days. But let's continue where we left off last time. So here I am coming out of the surgery. Everything went really well. It ended up not lasting too long, and lucky for me, I woke up very fast, which obviously helps with the recovery. Since everything happens in the same building at View Plastic Surgery, I was able to go from the surgery directly to my recovery room in my wheelchair. To be perfectly honest, I don't remember any of those clips. I was completely out of it. So you can see me climbing into bed with some help. You can see I have my hand on my chest. It's not that I was in any pain, it's just I was feeling nauseous. I had Anna and basically a lot of people in my room telling me to just take a deep breath. It helps the anesthesia get out of your body, and it's going to help with the nausea. It didn't take me too long to actually be able to just fully wake up, and the nausea went away. One of the first things I did actually was text my friend that was there with me to let her know that I could actually breathe through my nose, which is not something I've been able to do in like forever, and I could actually feel air through my sinuses. Like, is that how it actually feels for people? I was like shocked. I didn't realize how bad it was until it had improved. So for the sake of keeping a timeline, day of surgery is considered day 0. So day 0, I was feeling pretty good. I was able to actually drink from a cup right away to just try and help soothe my throat because obviously you're going to be intubated, so it can irritate your throat for a few days. I feel like the picture of day 0 looks worse than I actually felt. I was feeling pretty okay, to be honest. A little nauseous, a little dizzy, but not really in any pain. You obviously feel very heavy and a little bit of discomfort, but breathing was still pretty easy because I wasn't that swollen yet. Sleep is a really important part of your recovery. Unfortunately for me, a mix of the adrenaline and just the anxiety of not being able to breathe really well, because at midnight basically I started getting very swollen. It just kept me up. Every time I would like fall asleep, I would like wake up with a start. So didn't get much rest the first night, but luckily for me, the nurses were really nice. I could buzz them every time I was not feeling good, and they would give me either more painkillers or they would come and change my ice pack. Absolutely recommend getting something. Either like make your own face ice pack, or you can buy some, and it really helps with the swelling, but also with the discomfort or any like heat you could feel on your face. So every hour they would come and change it for me during the night. They were basically at the end of the corridor, so every time I would buzz, they would come right away. So no issue really the first night except trouble breathing and sleeping. Oh, and by the way, if anyone is wondering, not all nurses spoke English, but it's not like I could really talk much. Pain or like ice pack are pretty universally understood, but there are apps on your phone that they were using, so did I, to communicate if we had any issue during the night. So on day 1, the first morning, they came and helped me change, and then they cleaned my nose, which felt so nice. They removed a tube that I had also. I had a small nosebleed, which is very common, but for me it lasted about 10 seconds, so nothing dramatic. And they also removed my catheter, which I feel like I was looking back at reviews of other people and they were complaining about it, and I have the bladder of 80-year-old. I go pee every hour, so if anything, it was actually nice to not think about peeing for a whole day, and it wasn't painful at all to remove it, but at that point I was able to start moving around, so obviously I didn't want to have it with me. On that morning, the doctor also came and see me just to let me know basically that the surgery went well, that everything looked good, and that I would see him very soon for a proper appointment, but at this point all I could do was rest. So from that point onward, I was up and about and was able to walk around, and I had to keep my mouth clean, obviously, to avoid any infections. So they gave me this saline solution to just swoosh around as much as I could in my mouth and just let it drip, because you're not supposed to spit yet. So you can see me do this. Not very glamorous on camera, but it had to be done. You're also supposed to do it after drinking/eating, although it's mostly drinking at that point, anything. Quite frankly, I didn't make as much effort as I should have to try and eat something, but I wasn't really feeling hungry. I had still my IV, so I felt pretty safe with it. Another tip that was given to me was to try and walk around as much as possible. First off, it keeps your mind busy. It helps breathing a little bit, and mostly it just helps with your blood circulation. Obviously, it's going to help with your recovery that way. So I did it as much as possible, and I was able to, at this point, go myself and change my ice pack. There was like a freezer at the end of the corridor, so I would just walk around every hour, come and change it, and then walk around a little bit more, and then just go back to bed. I do want to mention also that if you've never been through general anesthesia, it's really normal to have some side effects. Again, the nausea that I mentioned. For me, one of the big ones was brain fog. Basically, I was like so out of it. Quite frankly, I look back at my clips and everything and my notes, and I don't remember much of those days, which is probably for the best, to be honest, but I was just feeling quite out of it, quite unbalanced. And also, one of my side effects is going to be depression. Most people will go through it. Obviously, you're healing, it's a major surgery and everything. So just know that there's nothing wrong going on. It's just part of the process. So they're going to tell you that peak swelling is going to be day 3, and it's probably going to be the worst day for you. Day 3 and 4 for me were the worst, but again, keep in mind that this is the worst, and from there everything is going to improve really fast, especially for double jaw surgery. They say that like the first week, if you ask people that are going through it if they think it's worth it, and most of them will tell you that they don't think it is at that point, but you ask them again a year later and they will tell you that it was absolutely worth it. Like we say here, c'est un mal pour un bien. So basically you're going through something that is difficult and negative, but the improvement for your quality of life will make it absolutely worth it. So that's what I was keeping in mind. And again, I was looking up other people's review and seeing that I wasn't the only one struggling and hating my life a little bit really helped me, especially being able to see that at 1 week they started feeling so much better. So I kept that in mind, and it really helped my moral stay a little higher. Day 3 was the first official day of post-op appointments. So Anna came and brought me my medicine that I would need once I was discharged, and then she also brought me some pumpkin juice. We went to get my wafer installed. As I had mentioned in the first video, the wafer is basically a mold that they made of my bite to make sure it was going to heal in the right position. So I had to have it installed. Not going to lie, it's one of the only 2 times I cried during my recovery. I was definitely feeling a little dramatic because I was very emotional from the lack of sleep, lack of eating, and having to struggle to breathe and everything, plus the general anesthesia. It was like a weird mix, and they were struggling to put it in. It was just super uncomfortable because they had to push my lower jaw forward to like put it in the right position, and I was already struggling to breathe so much. So I cried, which I don't recommend because it will make things so much worse. And obviously the doctors saw that I was struggling, so they decided to stop and postpone it. And they helped me by suctioning my sinus and everything to try and like help me see that I could actually breathe. It's not really recommended just because by suctioning you're going to get more inflammation, so it's going to be long-term harder to breathe. But at the moment it was the right thing to do because I was struggling so much. So they let me be for a couple of hours, and we went to my hair appointment to wash my hair because you're not going to be able to wash your hair yourself. First off, any type of like laying is going to pull all your neck muscles, but also it's a service they offer. So the medical staff was there to wash my hair. They actually helped me, you can see in the video, to lay down in the right position and everything, and it felt so nice to feel a little bit cleaner that way. So you can see me enjoying every single second of this hair wash. The medical staff is basically there to make you more comfortable, and you want to make sure that you don't take the shower yourself because you need your stitches to stay untouched. So we gave a second shot to the wafer. I was not very excited for it, but we were able to put it in position. Again, what was really difficult is that I was super swollen, and they had to push forward my lower jaw for it to be in the right position. It was really difficult because my neck muscles were so tight and I was so swollen and stiff, but we made it in the end. I was joking around that this whole thing made me feel like a bulldog because my swelling is right here, right there. So everywhere I have the plates and the screws, so I have some here, I have some here, I have some here and here. So it really swole here, and then the lower jaw had to be pushed forward, so I basically was looking like a bulldog. During that appointment, I was also able to ask / really write down any question that I had, and I had a team there to translate anything that the doctor was telling me. Quite frankly, day 3 was pretty bad moral-wise, so I wasn't sure if I wanted to get discharged or not. They did offer to let me stay one more night, but I eventually felt good enough that I decided to leave. I did end up choosing to be discharged after they put me on that little machine that confirms how much oxygen you have in your blood. It just helped me calm down and realize that it was mostly difficult mentally and I could just go in my own room alone and it would keep me more calm. So I did just that. But obviously, since I removed the IV, I had to take my antibiotics. And if you've ever had to try them in a powder form, you will know they really do not taste good. So my number one tip is to find something that tastes strong enough that you can swallow. So either quite sugary or maybe soury, and definitely something that you will not want to drink ever again. That first night, I decided to try and mix it with some grape juice, but it was not strong enough. So it took me 3 hours to swallow it. I had to mix it in a little cup and then put it in a syringe and then try to find a spot in my cheek to try and drink it. So I spent the whole night basically trying to drink it. I also tried apple juice, which was not strong enough, and I ended up settling on orange juice for the whole set of antibiotics. So orange juice was strong enough. A few more tips to be able to breathe better would be to get some of those strip for your nose. You can see me in some of the pictures and videos wearing them. It just basically pulls your nostrils open, so it makes you feel like you can breathe a little bit better. So I definitely tried to use them quite a bit in the first couple of days. And also your best friend is going to be the nose push, as I call it, which is the décongestionnant. I'm not sure how to pronounce that in English. Spray that they give you. You're not supposed to use them too much. I believe it's 3 times a day maximum. So again, choose carefully. Personally, I tried to keep them 4 at night so I could actually fall asleep. The only thing is that they work for about an hour. So again, I would use the push, go to bed and try and fall asleep. Once the wafer was in place, we went up the last floor to see the dentist so I could learn how to wear my elastics. It's obviously all included through the services. They gave me a lifetime supply of elastics. I still have a few bags, and you will need a good quantity because you're going to break quite a few. It hurts, definitely be careful, but it was very easy to learn how to apply them. Basically, you get a little hook. Usually it was an elephant. This one is an alligator though. So you just apply it on the little hooks. You put it on the screw and then you just pull very easily and you're able to reach all of them that way. Very straightforward. At first it's going to be difficult because you're going to be quite swollen. You can't feel very much. And then if you feel anything, it's going to be very sensitive. But it took me 2 seconds once I got the hook of it. By the way, don't do as I did. The reason that day 4 was so hard for me was that I forgot that during the lunch powder, you get 3 different ones. Morning and night include some type of painkiller with your antibiotics, but not the lunch one. And they gave me a separate one for that, and I completely forgot on day 4. That's why I was feeling miserable during that afternoon and only realized later that I forgot to mix it also. So don't do as I did. Day 6 was also the day I decided enough was enough. I was removing all the stickers on my face. If you were wondering why I had them, it definitely helps keep the swelling higher and not on your neck, so it makes breathing a lot easier. So it took me a little while to try and slowly remove them because obviously you're very sensitive. And I will include a before after because right after removing it, you can see basically my face looks like an ice cream cone. And then at the end of the day, it went all down and it was so heavy. So if you are able to get tape or there are some type of wraps you can use to try and keep the swelling higher for the first couple of days, I would definitely recommend it. It definitely helped me in my recovery. But yeah, it was actually kind of funny at this point because I was feeling much better. I feel like day 7 was a day that at that point I was feeling pretty good about everything. You can see the picture. I look good, I think. Obviously, I'm very, very swollen. I have a clip. You can see it from every angle. At this point, I was feeling pretty good. My morale was definitely much higher. And you could see my swelling was slowly but surely going down. I was super impressed that I had no bruising. You can look it up online. It's very normal to have really bright yellow bruising on your neck and chest. But I had absolutely none, which shocked me because I get bruises incredibly easily. So they did a great job, or I was very lucky. Who knows? I appreciate it for sure. Day 7 was another day of appointments and treatments for me. So at first I went to see the doctor and he confirmed that everything was going well during the appointment. I was able to mention to him that I noticed that my nose was pretty crooked. And obviously it's a possibility whenever you have a cant occlusion that by moving the jaw, it will move your nose. But really, any change to your upper jaw will change the shape of your nose a little bit. But he confirmed that most of it was most likely due to the swelling. It was going to subdue quite a bit. I also saw the dentist, and it was confirmed that at this point I could wear my elastics only during the night, and I could remove my wafer whenever I wanted to try and eat or practice my bite that way. So I started doing that a little bit more. I tried to eat some porridge because that day I also weighed myself and I had lost 5 pounds. So I tried to eat porridge. Frankly, it was much harder than I expected. You tell yourself, oh, you know, not chewing is not that difficult, just swallow it whole. But for some reason, just having food in my mouth was just like, my tongue and my mouth just didn't know what to do with it. So I kind of gave up halfway point. So you will probably struggle a little bit to motivate yourself to eat enough, but definitely try as hard as you can. That day I also had my first de-swelling treatment. It's one of the free complement of the hospital. It's very nice, it's very relaxing. 3 of them were with this red light, so it's basically supposed to help you with the de-swelling. I personally found it very, very relaxing. By about like day 10, 11, my smell was looking more and more normal. Opening your mouth is still very awkward because you're super numb and you're very, very stiff, which again, very, very normal. But the fact that I looked like not too bad, I feel like, after just a couple of days from such a major surgery, definitely helped. I was definitely focusing on a pattern that I had noticed. So basically, by walking, I would sleep better, and by sleeping better, I would definitely feel less swollen. So I was definitely focusing on resting as much as possible while still moving as much as possible. On day 12, I had to go shop and try a bunch of outfits for the photo shoot, basically the picture in the thumbnail, which is after 3 weeks. So I don't think I looked too bad after 3 weeks, but I had to try a bunch of clothes. So obviously it was a little exhausting, and I ended up celebrating with buying some ramen. I actually totally recommend it because I didn't have to chew it. I could actually just take a few little noodles and just swallow them straight. So at least I felt like I was eating something solid. Definitely helped me at feeling better. Don't overdo it. Obviously, it's salt, so you're gonna get even more puffy. But I did that while watching Chernobyl. So just find TV shows that motivate you and just try and eat as much as possible once again. Day 14 was a big day of appointments for me. It was the day I was getting my stitches removed, and if you've seen anyone else's video, you're gonna know it's a bittersweet moment because you're very excited for them to be gone. I could feel them like pulling on my skin in the front. The ones in the back didn't really bother me. But it's not the most pleasant experience. So as always, Anna, the view girls, came and got me. We went to my appointment and they started removing them. The ones in the back weren't too bad. The only part is that they had to pull my cheeks so they could reach them, then pull on the string, cut them. Wasn't fun, but the worst part for me was definitely the ones in the front. My gums are already very sensitive. They've always been because I would keep my mouth open, right? So they would bleed very easily, and obviously the surgery did not make things better right away. So that part was definitely quite painful. Everyone was there to cheer me up and pet my legs and even gave me a stuffed animal to let me squeeze if I felt the need to. I was just focusing on trying to breathe and keep it all in. Quite frankly, I didn't actually cry, but my eyes were very, very misty by the end, but I was very happy to be done with it. Afterwards, we went and saw the doctor once again. I was able to ask more questions, ask again about my swelling, my nose, and then he let me know that the main focus for me from now on would be to learn to smile evenly. One of the main things that the surgery was fixing was my cant occlusion, basically my smile being crooked or like my jaw, and the surgery obviously fixed the bones. They put them straight in the right position. They were now symmetrical, but your face is not only made of bones, right? So I would have to work on my muscles so they would become more symmetrical. First off, talking, smiling, and eventually chewing evenly. So this is still something I have to work on. It's going to take me probably a few more months, but focusing early was definitely important. So you can see him teaching me how to smile evenly. It's definitely a great picture. He was also able to answer any questions that I had, especially the fact that once again, my swelling was going down very nicely. Again, no bruising, nothing crazy happening. And basically, I was healing very nicely. We then went up to the last floor to see the dentist. I had issues with my wafer. Basically, I broke it by biting way too hard on it. I couldn't feel anything in my mouth, right? So I was biting too hard on it, and then I was using my tongue to push it on my teeth to make sure they were the right place, basically in the front. And by doing that, I was just basically creating a really bad habit, and I was going to ruin my bite as soon as the wafer was gone. So we decided to just stop wearing it, and instead, I asked the dentist if there was anything else I could do because I wasn't comfortable just being like that, you know? I wanted to make sure everything was going to heal at the right spot. So she installed little buttons, I've been calling them hooks, but I'm pretty sure the right term is buttons, on my teeth so I would be able to wear my elastics there. Technically, I could have been using the screws, but one of them fell, so we ended up going with the hooks. I really appreciated how she took my fear into consideration, so we basically ended up removing all the other screws with a screwdriver in my mouth. That was something I never thought would happen. And we went with the hooks. Once again, it wasn't painful whatsoever, just use a little machine, put them there, and I was good to go. So I had mentioned I had 4 de-swelling treatment, but one of them was different. You can see from that clip, that one was a little bit more elaborate. It was kind of a facial, and then there was like heat at the same time. It was very, very relaxing, and it left my skin feeling very, very smooth. And I do feel like the swelling was actually much better afterwards, so definitely would recommend that one. I had a last checkup before I left with the dentist, with the doctor, and once again, everything was confirmed that everything was healing nicely. I was given, again, the lifetime supply of elastics and confirmed that everything was going great, that I had to obviously follow up with my ortho in Canada, and then that if I was having any problem, as always, I could always text everyone, and I definitely did that whenever I had any questions. Actually, for fun, let me include the official before after, because we did a photo shoot after 3 weeks. Again, 3 weeks I was incredibly swollen, so keep that in mind, but I thought it would be fun to include it. There's no crazy Photoshop going on, it's just that I am so swollen, and I didn't realize how high the swelling was going to be, and it goes up to your eyes. Again, super normal. You might not even notice it until you try to apply makeup, for example, and that's definitely the case here, and comparing them next to each other is pretty dramatic. But yes, the swelling is going to eventually go down. At this point, I'm not swollen up to my eyes. My nose is still swollen, and again, this part, right? The bulldog part. But yeah, looking at it is still kind of impressive. Like 3 weeks and it was already a huge difference. And then on the last day, Anna organized my taxi for me to bring me to the airport so I could go home. Since then, quite frankly, after like a month, you don't have anything too crazy going on. It takes much longer for you to heal. Like at first it's very dramatic because you're so swollen and it goes down quite quickly, but then the remaining swelling will take quite a bit of time. After 1 month, after seeing my ortho, I was confirmed that I didn't need to do anything too crazy, just keep wearing my elastics, and I could start eating soft foods. So basically a ton of ice cream and some pasta and like all the carbs in the world, basically. I don't understand how people lose weight on this diet, because I definitely didn't. As far as swelling and numbness and like chewing, you're gonna see that it takes a long time and it's very slow, and it depends for each person, and it's gonna be one side is better one day and then the next one it's the next side. I also had quite a few like little shocks and jolt on my chin about at 2 months too, but I could already right away after the surgery feel most of my skin. It was definitely like the deep numbness. For me, the biggest change was my teeth being very sensitive. About like 6 weeks, this top part started, and then slowly but surely the front, and then the back of this side, and then right now it's right here. I still don't really have that issue here, so it means that it still needs to continue healing even after 3 months. But the main issue is just when I'm brushing my teeth, they're very sensitive, but otherwise it's not really a problem as far as chewing. I think that the second month is probably the hardest mentally really than physically. I was okay eating soft food and everything, but mentally you're ready to be normal. Like I would feel pretty normal, and then I would start eating something that was a bit too hard and I would like, ugh, I can't eat this. Or I would feel pretty normal, but then see myself in the mirror and realize I still don't look normal. You might wake up one day you're more swollen on one side. Actually today, I think this side is more swollen than the other one. You just have to keep reminding yourself that it's a long recovery. It's going to be slow. It takes about like a full year to be like completely back, completely feeling everything and not numb anymore and be able to chew everything you want. They say 3 months, but I still am scared of baby carrots, and it's probably gonna stay for a much longer time. I'm eating pretty normally at this point though. I definitely recommend having a group of friends or your family around you to keep your morale up during those times. People around me have been telling me that I look cute like a chubby toddler, and I disagree. I feel like I looked more like the thing that ate the chubby toddler. But as long as people keep supporting you, you're definitely going to start feeling much better quickly. Actually, 2 weeks ago, I was able to eat at week 10 pizza normally without cutting it, which is like, finally, it was amazing. I'm also finally at 3 months not afraid to sneeze. It's gonna be one of your biggest fears. Sneezing and yawning. Definitely focus on not yawning in the first couple of days because it's gonna hurt to open your mouth like this. But sneezing was going to be the death of me during the first like 2-3 months because it feels like your teeth are gonna just leave your mouth. But at this point I can do it without being too afraid, so there's that. As I'm filming this, we are week 12, so basically exactly 3 months since the surgery. Yesterday I saw my orthoini remove the little buttons, hooks that I had on my teeth, because I don't need them anymore. Basically my teeth went down enough, because when I'm going to show you the before after x-rays, it's after 3 weeks, so I still had a little bit of an open bite, and the elastics were able to close it down. Actually, let me include the x-rays before and after. From the front you can see that they were able to correct the asymmetry, the canth occlusion, by moving my right side up by 3 milliliters, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it definitely makes a major difference for me. I'm not favoring my left side when chewing anymore. I've actually been doing the opposite a little bit, so I need to like practice to make it perfectly even. And then from the side, actually by moving my jaws, they ended up shortening my face by about 12 milliliters, which is pretty crazy because I don't feel like I see that big of a difference in person, but the x-rays definitely don't lie. So at this point, how do I feel after 3 months? I'm feeling pretty good, to be honest. I still feel numb, mostly my chin, and like basically I'm only annoyed with the plates and screws on the upper part. Like the ones on the bottom, don't feel them. I'm still numb, so maybe that's why. But these one I can kind of feel when I'm making faces, which is like literally all the time. But I feel like when I'm not making a face, which again, very rare, I look pretty good, pretty normal. It's whenever I smile bigger or I make a face that I feel like I still look kind of stiff. You know when you go to a dentist and they freeze you on only one side and you feel like you're smiling normally, but you're not? That's kind of still how I'm feeling. It's going to be improving again. It takes a full year at least to be back to normal. So that's still one of the things for me that I have to keep practicing, again, the straight smile and everything. So if these things and the fact that brushing my teeth is still difficult because my teeth are sensitive, and the fact that I have a little bit of a lisp, mostly because I cannot feel the inside of my mouth. I didn't notice how bad it was until I started feeling in the front pins and needles, which again, good sign. It means that the nerves are coming back and everything, but it gives me the worst lisp ever. Yesterday I spent like 10 minutes trying to say trustworthy. I'm able to do it now. But yeah, I can't feel my tongue when it touches that part, so it's going to be a struggle. So I think we can agree that if these are the worst things happening to me right now, it means that my recovery went really well. So last but not least, let me do a proper before after, or I should say before current, because it's definitely going to keep improving. But this is what I now look like from the front. And then if I show you the angles. And if I try to smile, the only thing I'm still working on is smiling with my mouth open. I feel like I still look a little silly on this side, but we're working on it. So that's going to be it for part 2 of my recovery. I hope you enjoyed it. Please let me know in the comment section if you have any questions, because I will be doing a part 3 in 1 month. So if you want to get any more information, plus you're going to see a little bit more of my recovery kind of before after 4 months. Definitely don't forget to subscribe if you don't want to miss any future videos. I will link once again part 1 in the description box, and once part 3 is available, it will also be there. And actually I will be putting some videos on the screen that I recommend you check out, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.